Hi, welcome to Innovators number 7. Back in the 1970s, Brian Eno coined a phrase, scenius. He was referring to the idea that, in his own words, scenius is the intelligence of a whole operation or group of people. What he was describing was the forms of creativity that groups, places or scenes generate due to what could be described as a collective mindset. This collective mindset does not necessarily mean that everyone is writing the same kind of music to form a genre, but rather the natural competition that arises within a productive music scene that creates a general level of productivity that can propel the genre forward. It's the notion that your mate has written a really good track and that inspires you to try and write something equally as good or better in the sense of production techniques or creative structure. Taking an idea and developing it further, i.e. building a style of music. For example, look at drum and bass and jungle, the scene pre and post Goldie's Terminator. In this instance, the game was raised by Goldie and others, taking influence from his production styles and techniques, and took the art of the breakbeat, breakbeat manipulation to new levels. We can associate scenius to many music genres stretching right back to the 1920s popular music. However, we probably see it more often in electronic music genres. Genres like dubstep certainly appear to have some form of scenius at its core, where there's a hub of producers essentially trying to get one-upmanship on each other by producing tracks that create a bedrock of aesthetics that shape the sound of that genre, but also inspire like-minded souls to build on these ideas. However, how do these genres become popular outside of the scene they grow up in? In order for a genre to go overground and break out of the confines of its location, there needs to be a protagonist who is connected to the scene, committed to the scene, with the courage of their convictions to champion that particular sound. Innovator number 7 certainly did that with the genre dubstep. That protagonist is not a producer in the scene, but a DJ, and that DJ is Mary Ann Hobbs. Mary Ann Hobbs is Innovator number 7 because, as explained in Clash magazine in January 2016, there are radio shows that entertain, there are radio shows that leave a legacy, and there are radio shows that change things. First broadcast on Mary Ann Hobbs' Breeze Block show almost a decade ago, Dubstep Wars did all three. So where does it all begin? Well, back in 2000 in Croydon, South London, an area, according to Martin Clark, a music journalist, DJ and musician known as Blackdown, that is distinct because it's kind of like its own entity, large and self-contained. A scene was growing up around the record shop, Big Apple Records. Young producers keen to develop their own sound, darker than two-step garage, but featuring elements of drum and bass, ragga, reggae, techno, broken beat and dub. DJ Hatcher from Big Apple Records was describing the origins of dubstep on Mary Ann Hobbs' Dubstep Wars broadcast on Radio 1 on the 10th of January 2006, and he explained that it had a lot of sounds from all kinds of music. And he also said, every producer really is different. As I mentioned, the epicenter for this was Big Apple Records, where Hatcher discovered Scream and Benga, who in their early teens started bringing in demo cassettes for feedback and advice. The duo graduated from recording with Music 2000 on the Sony PlayStation to Fruity Loops, and from cassettes to dub plates, forming this proto-dubstep sound that was slowly morphing into what it would then become. Around 2001, the Club Forward began. However, as Martin Clark describes, for 5 years no one cared about it, no one was interested. With labels like Temper forming alongside Pirate Radio, 12-inch releases introduced others outside of London to the new sound, and slowly the genre began gaining momentum. Like other genres before them, like drum and bass, these scenes begin in one or two clubs, and then as more releases or tracks become available, whether that's in the form of physical or downloadable material, then a community starts to grow. Former music journalist Mary Ann Hobbs was a successful DJ on Radio 1 with her Breeze Block show, and that focused primarily on experimental left-field electronic music, and she began to take an interest in this new sound. As described by Joe Muggs in 2009, Mary Ann Hobbs was a long-time supporter of exploratory electronic music, and in 2005 she had a Damascene conversion to the then tiny and deep underground dubstep scene. In the interview with Joe Muggs, Mary Ann Hobbs describing going to the club DMZ, which alongside Forward were the first to promote dubstep, said, "When I first started going, because immediately I could see, even if they couldn't, that this was music that was going to have a global reach, I would say, what you have here now, where you all see one another each week or every month, the same faces sharing the experience of hearing each mind-blowing new dub plate together. This is incredibly precious. Appreciate this." Hobbs decided that her show, The Breeze Block, was the perfect forum to showcase the talent of this distinctly underground scene, and curated a 2-hour segment dedicated to it, featuring the key producers and DJs and tracks that define the genre. Called Dubstep Wars, it was broadcast on the evening of the 9th through to the 10th of January 2006. Joseph L. Flatley, writing for The Verge magazine in 2012, argued that the influence of this programme can't be underestimated. When it dropped in early 2006, it not only awakened the rest of the UK to the sound that had been bubbling on the underground circuit, but it also provided the rest of the world with a compact and exciting document of the sound. This is what Hobbs said of the show when she marked the 5th anniversary in 2011. "This show marked the global tipping point for the dubstep sound. Marla, Scream, Code 9 and the Space Ape, Vexed, Hatcher and Crazy D, Loafer and Sergeant Pokes and Distance changed the world of global dance music forever. Dubstep Wars still sounds as vital, as primal and as thrilling as the night we threw it down. It brings tears to my eyes. If as a broadcaster you can deliver one show with the cultural and historical impact of this one in a lifetime, it's a miracle." With the availability of downloads, the show was an easy way to digest the core aesthetics of dubstep and its musical heritage, and it spread the word. With Hobbs continuing to champion the sound, and this then garnered the interest of an international music crowd. Dubstep Forum was an online community of approximately 200 people, mainly made up of the key founders of the scene and early fans of the music, and from 2005 to 2006, it then grew to 20 to 30,000 members within that year. Dubstep had suddenly grown exponentially, and Dubstep Wars played no small part in this. Within a year and a half of the original broadcast of Dubstep Wars, Marianne Hobbs was asked to curate a stage of dubstep DJs at the Sonar Electronic Festival in Barcelona in June 2007, where she and others DJ'd in front of 8,500 people, and which she also has described as one of the greatest nights of my life. The DJs such as Code 9, Oris J, Scream were more used to audiences of a couple of hundred at clubs like Plastic People in Shoreditch. With the adoption of the sound across Europe and the USA and beyond, more and more musicians exposed to the genre began to develop their own takes on dubstep. By 2010, dubstep or elements of the dubstep sound and production were regular features in hits in the UK Top 40 and other established charts around the world. Founding dubstep artists like Benga, Scream and Artwork formed the supergroup Magnetic Man, whilst in America, Skrillex between 2008 and 2011 had become one of the most successful EDM dubstep-influenced artists, and by 2017 estimated to be worth around $45 million. It can't be underestimated how dubstep production practices and techniques now influence everyday pop music, based mainly on other dance music genres. Without Marianne Hobbs' intervention and presentation of dubstep in this way, would it have developed as it has? Writing in 2009, Joe Muggs argued that Marianne Hobbs is an evangelist for and catalyst for development within that scene and the music that surrounds it. Through her Radio 1 show, now popular globally via the internet, and through promoting artists at international festivals like Barcelona's annual Sonar, she has been one of the main contributors to British electronic music's current rude state of health and invasion of the mainstream. Her curated compilations on the Planet Mu label, including the recent Wild Angels and Evangeline, have been seen as key documents of the scene. In conclusion, why is Marianne Hobbs innovator number 7? Well, how can a music scene or genre coalesce or grow from a club scene of about 200 fans, be heard by the outside world and become a huge influence on other musical styles and production techniques. It requires people with influence, like DJs, whether broadcasting on national radio or on pirate radio, to help spread the word. Therefore, coming back to the notion of scenius, it requires many people's involvement, these producing the music, those pushing the music, such as labels and DJs and fans, but most importantly, mavericks who are prepared to wear their heart on their sleeve and do all they can to propel the music forward. Marianne Hobbs is just one of these kinds of people. Dubstep Wars was just the beginning of her relationship with dubstep, and many artists who she has taken under her wing have commented on how, without her almost motherly support and guidance, the scene could not have become what it has become. Robin Murray, writing in Clash magazine, stated, "The impact of Dubstep Wars couldn't be replicated now, not with the enormous plethora of options available to spread music online. SoundCloud and Mixcloud were formed in 2007 and 2008 respectively, while the proliferation of online radio, itself something to be championed, means that no single broadcast can achieve what this did. It's the last gasp of an analogue system, echoing brilliantly through a digital echo chamber." So therefore, Marianne Hobbs is innovator number 7. Thanks for watching. See you next time.